I'd like to read to you from Luke chapter 5, the first 11 verses. Here we get a good look at the kind of faith that Jesus expects his followers to have. Luke chapter 5, beginning in verse 1, we read that on one occasion while the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God, he was standing by the lake of Gennesaret. And he saw two boats by the lake, but the fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. Getting into one of the boats, which was Simon's, he asked him to put out a little from land. And he sat down and he taught the people from the boat. And when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep and let down your nets for a catch." And Simon answered, "Master, we toiled all night and took nothing. But at your word, I'll let down the nets." And when they had done this, they enclosed a large number of fish, and their nets were breaking. They signaled to their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and they filled both the boats, so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Depart from me, for I am a sinful man, O Lord." For he and all who were with him were astonished at the catch of fish that they had taken. And so also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. And Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on you'll be catching men." And when they had brought their boats to land, they left everything and followed him. So, to recap, it's early in Jesus' ministry. He has not yet called his disciples to leave their vocations and follow him full time. Jesus is teaching in Galilee, and he's already got quite a following, because as he's teaching there beside the lake of Gennesaret, or the Sea of Galilee, the crowd presses in on him so much that he has to get into a boat and push off from shore. And it happens that the boat he gets into belongs to Simon Peter. So after Jesus has finished teaching, and after the crowd, I guess, has gone its way, something ironic happens, because Jesus, a carpenter, tells Simon Peter, a professional fisherman, how to do his job. He says, put out a little deeper and let down your nets. And Simon says, "Well, Master, really doesn't make any sense to do this. We're not going to catch anything. We've already tried and we struck out. But because you said to do it, I will." So Simon Peter, he knows what conventional wisdom says, that it's a waste of time to fish right now. However, Jesus has said, "Put down your nets." And so he trusts Jesus more than he heeds the situation, and he submits, and he puts down his nets. There's a cat's tail. He puts down his net, and he's amazed, and all of his partners are amazed, because there's a miraculous catch. There are so many fish that two boats can't hold them all without beginning to sink. And so Peter's expectations, when he does what Jesus says, are greatly exceeded. When he trusts Jesus more than he fears the circumstances around him, great things happen. And there's a wonderful pattern for us to follow here. This is very instructive, because as followers of Jesus, we need to trust Jesus so much that we obey him, even when doing so it really doesn't make sense according to the standards of the world. Think about this. Imagine that, I know that this is a situation that actually happens quite a bit. You are married, and your spouse develops a chronic debilitating illness that he or she is going to have from now on. And your friends say, "Hey, this isn't what you signed on for. Leave this person, go out, live your life. You can't let this person hold you back." But you decide, damn kitty cat. You decide that you're going to do things God's way. You're going to honor your commitment to your spouse like Jesus wants you to. And what you find is that the joy that comes from being faithful through thick and thin, the wonderful blessings that come from that faithfulness, vastly exceed your expectations. And that's what it means to have the kind of faith that Jesus calls us to. In Romans chapter 1, verse 5, Paul says that his purpose for being an apostle wasn't just to bring about faith, but to bring about what Paul calls the obedience of faith. Trusting God enough, trusting Jesus enough to obey no matter what, even when the logic of the world says obedience makes no sense. And that obedience of faith, as we close up, it's captured so wonderfully in the words of Solomon in Proverbs chapter 3, beginning in verse 5. Here, Solomon gives you the formula for surefire success in life. He says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths. Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. It will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones." So let's be who Jesus wants us to be. Let's resolve to obey him no matter what, even when by the standards of the world it makes no sense. And when we do, our expectations will be vastly exceeded.